Alright, so really quick, I want to show you guys how to take, if you've, done like a cloth sim like this, and you need to just make this into a static asset that's a little bit lower poly, because this is like kind of unnecessarily high poly, honestly. So I've exported this to an OBJ, and I'm going to open Autodesk MeshMixer. It's a free program you can download on the interwebs. I'm going to throw that file in. And the reason that I like MeshMixer is because it gives you a lot of good control over the overall shape of your mesh. So first thing, like, this is really hard to see. Just click on this little shaders thing here and just drag like literally anything else onto it except that. So now I have this. If you press W, you can toggle your wireframe on and off. So there's a few different ways that you can do this in MeshMixer. So if I do Control A, it's going to select my whole mesh, and then you can reduce the entire thing by just doing Shift R. You can see if you look at the polycount at the bottom. So when I do Shift R, this is reducing it by a percentage of 50%. I'll accept that, and this is now 900 polygons. And it's actually done a pretty good job of sort of maintaining that shape. So I'm going to do Shift R again, and you can pretty much just keep doing this. At some point, the mesh quality will start to break down. But I mean, you can see, so we've pretty much stripped it down to 225 polys, and there's not like a super crazy noticeable difference here, which is kind of cool. So there's another way that you can do things, and that is, I'm just going to re-import my mesh. Append will import it with this object. I just want to replace it because it's gross and I don't need this anymore. So again, I'm just going to put a different shader on this. Go to W so that I can see my wireframe, and I'm going to go to the Sculpt tab. So there's a few different brushes. You can, if you want to, you can go through and like, ooh, hello. In this case, that was a very awkward option to select there. So there's like smoothing options if you want to like further modify the shape of your mesh. In this case, it's kind of just doing weird stuff. But these brushes down here will actually allow you to add and subtract topology. So go to this brush, you can see that it is adding areas of super dense geometry. So sometimes if I'm dropping like, for nCloth, if I'm dropping like a tablecloth, I'll just draw a ring right around the edge where it needs to fold, because if it's flat on a table, there's no need for that extra geometry there, like it's not really going to do anything. So you can do this to kind of like save a little sim time, kind of. Or if I'm doing a sculpt where I only need to sculpt in a particular area, I'll go in and draw in like really dense geometry there, so that I can just sort of, sculpt, put geometry only where I need to so I don't crash my computer. There's also functions for reducing geometry, so you can go in and manually paint areas where you want the geometry to be lower or higher, and you can modify things this way if you so need. So like this would be an example of if you've done a sculpt and you have like a really high area of really high detail you want to keep, you can go in and just sort of like draw flat areas manually so that there's less topology. Again, it just depends on what you need. So I really like MeshMixer for stuff like this. A lot of times I will totally actually use this to sculpt and stuff in, just like, again, depending on what you need. And it's free, so I'd encourage you guys to download it, because it is pretty helpful for many stuff, especially stuff like this.